You might have read or already seen videos about this particular subject, that Lightroom Classic, and mainly the latest update of Lightroom Classic and even Lightroom, allows the use of generative fill instead of healing or cloning only. This feature now works alongside heal and clone, so you will now find the remove option with the ability to use generative AI in the remove panel as usual. I just made a video on the power of generative AI in Photoshop, which you can watch right here, and today I would like to show you how this will be working in Lightroom instead. This is an early access feature for anyone who has Lightroom and Lightroom Classic, and it works slightly different from the one that Photoshop uses, just because Photoshop allows you to give it a prompt. So if I select a particular selection in my image, I can give it a prompt to, for example, add a car in this particular scene. Whereas in Lightroom Classic, it will only simply work on your selection automatically. So you will not be able to give it any prompt, but it will look at all of the scene practically and try to fill or remove the objects that you are selecting. So the aim of this video is to show you how generative AI handles difficulty levels. I will be showing you 3 different difficulty levels, and all 3 pictures are from a trip to Hungary to watch Formula 1. This is back in 2019, by the way, for anyone with a sharp eye noticing that this is an old car. And we will be taking a look at how generative AI can handle easy and difficult instances of this tool usage. So let's start off with the easy option first. You can see that there's a flag right here at the left end of the image, which is sort of interrupting the flow of this particular image. If I select the remove tool and make sure that I have generative AI enabled, I can immediately brush over the area that I want to remove, make a rough selection. You can see that Lightroom will immediately show you the mask that it will be applying, and once you press apply, it will start generating the selection that you want to remove. Right there, it's generated the selection that I wanted to remove. You have 3 options right here. You have the variations, and you can switch through those variations by clicking the arrow keys on each side. So let's see this particular variation. If you look very closely, you can see a slight edge right here where the selection ends. I can see it as well at the bottom right here. Maybe if we zoom in a bit more, you can see that the texture differs just slightly when we cross over to our selection and to the generative AI mask. However, the selection removal has been done really well, and you would not really notice it if you don't really zoom into particular areas, especially if, for example, I decide to crop my picture in this way, for example, it will not really show. So that's an excellent tool to use on simple instances like this one. But let's move over to another instance, which is medium difficulty this time. Once again, a car being wheeled away in the pits. Let's go over to the remove tool once again. I'm going to once again select my 3 people. Actually, it's 4 people because there's someone laying on the floor right there. And let's try to remove them. Apply. Let's see what Lightroom comes up with in this particular selection. It's a bit more difficult because obviously there are different parts of the pits in the back, but that's really excellent. I'm really impressed with this particular generation. Let's see different options, and I would say this even keeps the flow of the edge of the garages right here. For example, the second one puts the garages backwards or higher. I'm not sure what it's done here, and the third one also puts them a bit higher. So the first one is really excellent, and I think that we can keep it, and it shows that generative fill in Lightroom Classic is quite advanced and can handle medium difficulty. Let's go over to the last one, which is, to me, a very difficult scene to fix. And I want to remove this particular person in front of the car. Let's select the remove option once again. I'm going to leave object aware disabled, no need to enable it, although it would have worked really well on our subject right here. And the reason why I think this is a very difficult task is because generative AI doesn't really clone different parts of the image. So for example, if I had to use the clone tool, but obviously there would be limitations due to needing to flip my selection over, I could really select this part of the car, flip it over and put it on the other side. This is very easy to do in Photoshop, but obviously Photoshop has different sets of tools and Lightroom does not allow photo manipulation in that particular way. Let's apply this selection, let's see what it comes up with, and I'm quite sure that it will not be able to recreate the rest of the car, so let's see. So it did create a bit of a car, but it's obviously not the same car right here. So all three options actually manage to keep the idea of what the car looks like, but obviously it does not look at all the same. So a difficult scene like this one is not really something that you should do. If we had to remove this person from the edge right here, I'm quite sure that it can handle it really easily, because it's actually much easier than the medium difficulty. Let's take a look. And that's obviously perfect. So now you know that generative fill in Lightroom and Lightroom Classic is really powerful. Unfortunately, not yet powerful enough to work on very difficult tasks. However, I still strongly recommend not to use generative fill on difficult tasks and to manipulate your image too much, because obviously it does look a bit fake when you do that. So right here, let's go back to the two examples which really worked well. This was the easy example, it worked beautifully. And the second example, I was really impressed because it could recreate the garages in a way that I wasn't thinking was possible with this particular tool. So now you know how good this option is. Make sure to try it out if you have Lightroom Classic or Lightroom. And as always, thank you for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe.